Hi folks, Mike here again, sitting out on the deck. Another fine afternoon here in the western slope of Colorado. Sun's shining. Just got back from a soak in the hot springs up at Uray. Got me to thinking of motorcycle rides. Nice weather like this. You need to get the bike out. 37 degrees, so it's not too bad. The problem is getting over these mountains to get out anywhere. As you can see, you zoom in there, we got quite a little snow. Well, I'm thinking we're on the downhill side of things, and well, it might technically still be winter. There's light at the end of the tunnel. This time of year, it's get itching. I want to go for a ride. Looking through some videos today. Look at a ride we took up to Minnesota, Lake Superior. In a hell of a storm we got caught in. Fortunately, we were indoors. I had the good sense to get off the bike and get a room. Let's go take a look. See what you think. Way. We scored a campground at the KOA in Laramie, Wyoming, and stayed here before, got our tent set up, and then moved on the next day. Our next stop was the Devil's Gap, a section where the Sweetwater River carves through this rock up in central Wyoming, kind of south central. It was quite a landmark for the travelers coming west on the overland trails. Kind of impressive to see. Then just up the road a little farther is Independence Rock, another feature, a landmark for the travelers coming west on the overland trail. They call it Independence Rock because it's said that the top of the rock is covered with engravings and markings, the names and dates of the travelers, and the first time they stopped there was on Independence Day, 4th of July. Again, another very notable landmark on the trail west. There we stopped in Wyoming at Devil's Tower. I managed to score a campground spot at the KOA just outside of Devil's Tower. Made famous, the Devil's Tower was made famous in the movie Encounters of a Third Kind. It is quite impressive. That evening we had a beautiful sunset. Didn't disappoint at all. Next day turned out clear, and we moved on up into a little valley north of Spearfish. It was just beautiful scenic farmland country, on to the Teddy Roosevelt National Park. I didn't realize it at the time, but it was 4th of July weekend, and this particular day we got at Teddy Roosevelt National Park was 4th of July. We found out that there was a campground in the park, so we thought, well, this would be great, and we went in there, but we were told that the campground was full. But they allowed us to go in and take a look, and so we did. And when we talked to the campground host, he told us that actually they were not full, that he did have a spot left. The only one left, and he said, that's it, you can have it if you want. We went ahead and toured the park, spent the night. It was getting really warm, and as we left the park the next morning, We were going to originally head up to Williston, North Dakota, but the wind was just howling, so we found a route going east that we could get the wind behind us. This is at the Lewis and Clark Interpretive Center at Fort Mandan, which I'll be at coming up this spring. It was right on the Missouri River, and we continued east, just farm country out across North Dakota. But I noticed off to our north, which would have been off to our left as we're riding, that there was a big storm front that we had been following or was following us. And as we traveled east, it kept closing in on us. And it was getting kind of there. It's coming from an angle. We're going straight east, and it's coming in at an angle from the left. And at some point, I knew we would have to make a decision as to what we're going to do. And the gas was getting kind of hard to find out across there. Next day after 4th of July, it wasn't a whole lot of open. And so we were looking for some gasoline, and finally got across the state to Coopertown, North Dakota, just a little farming community, and pulled into a gravel lot. The only gas I could find was a pump that co-op farmers used in a gravel lot, but it did take credit cards, and it did have gasoline, regular gas or premium, I don't know, as well as diesel. And so we went ahead and filled up, and the wind started blowing, and I decided, gosh, we've got to find a room. So there was a sign at the end of the gravel lot that pointed motel and with an arrow. So we decided to follow that and see where it took us. We found a little mom and pop motel, and as we were registering inside, the little girl came in, and the lady signing us in asked her where Grandpa was, and she said he was outside looking at the storm clouds. And she said, "Oh dear." And she went ahead and got us signed in, and we went outside and found him on the other side of the motel, the rooms, and looking out, and we stood there, and I was just in awe because I had never ever seen anything like this, and I just couldn't believe it. We just got into a motel, and it's probably pretty fortunate because this doesn't look real good. In fact, the guy at the motel here said if we need to, he'll come get us and we can get in the house, get down in the basement. Wow. Look at the way those clouds are moving. This moved in fast because we were just over there on the edge of this. We ran inside and watched it rain from inside our room, and it rained. It just poured sheets, and the wind howled and blew like crazy. At one point, I thought I was going to blow the motorcycle over. Kathy asked me, "What are we going to do?" Well, the worst of it is past. I was afraid the bike was going to blow over. It was rocking and rolling at the worst of it. It's just heavy rain now. And then it was done. The next morning we hit the road and headed north toward Lake of the Woods. We're going to get a place there for the night. It was a long ride, but we just really enjoyed the place that we got right on the water. Well, here we are on Lake of the Woods. This is at the Wigwam Resort. We're on the end of a dock. Back in the day when when I was little, the family had a cabin up on the Lake of the Woods. We really enjoyed that time. These saw these and we couldn't believe what they were. And then we saw these and we understood them to be vehicles that traveled out on the ice to haul the ice fishing huts. Ice fishing for walleye on Lake Superior in the wintertime is really big business. And I don't know if you ever had any walleye, but it is good fish. We really enjoy that. I guess these ice houses can be pretty comfortable. We continued our ride over to Lake Superior and rode up the coast. It was really impressive to see that body of water. Stopped and had lunch at the Angry Trout, a whitefish sandwich, and a beer was highly recommended, and that's what we had. Then we stopped at the Grand Portage National Monument just before we crossed into Canada, and it's a living history museum, and we enjoyed watching some of the activities going on there. And came across this hut made out of birch bark, and it kind of reminded me of something. I had to think about it, but it was very familiar. And turns out this is what it looked like. Our tent, right? What do you think? That's a Eureka Grand Manan tent. M-A-N-A. M-A-N-A-N. It's no longer made, but it's sure a good one. We still have it. Then they had a canoe museum that we walked through. Boy, if you're into canoes, these are all birch bark. These are the real deal, and this gent was kind enough to explain it to us. We continued up the coast along Lake Superior. I'm just so thoroughly impressed by the immensity of this water. It's the first of the Great Lakes that I've ever seen. The original idea was to ride up to Thunder Bay, Ontario, and then continue on around Lake Superior and come back, but that plan got foiled. But nevertheless, we did make it to Thunder Bay. Got a room, actually a cabin at the KOA. Weather wasn't looking real good. It was supposed to rain again that night, so we holed up and changed our plans. Decided to go back. We didn't want to have to ride in the weather. It was predicted it was another week or 10 days worth of storms coming through. So the next morning we rode back into across Ontario and crossed into Minnesota again. Went to War Road and again on Lake of the Woods and spent a night there. Got a spot where we could pitch the tent, and we took our time because we had to figure out what to do. We didn't want to face the weather with this 7 to 10 days worth of storms coming in. So we turned around and decided to go home. We headed south, thought we'd stop by and see our granddaughter in Kansas, and then it got really warm. The farther south we went, the warmer it got, and we were kind of grateful for that. And here we go, headed home with a stop in Kansas to see our granddaughter Emma. Thanks so much for coming along. I really enjoyed having you. And until next time, stay curious, my friends. I'll see you out there somewhere.